Okay, so I have gathered a few things, or a lot of things, on my craft table. I just wanted to experiment with some different mediums, using some stamping and some stencils. Even going to try it out in some watercolor paper. Underneath here is just some white cardstock. And I grabbed a few of my punches just to kind of play with them as well. So I got just one of my flowers, and this one's a little tag one. So I can cut some shapes out of the white cardstock. And then this wouldn't be a Timmy review if I didn't use, or project, or not project, but it's kind of some creative play, if I didn't have some of his stencils. If I didn't have some of his punches. I was looking down at the stencils right here. And this is one of my favorites from Timmy. I have all of his little stencils like this. So kind of a splatter, kind of fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and kind of organize my table a little bit better, and then I'll come back and we'll just kind of go through each type of item, like, you know, watercolor. Then oh, I forgot to mention this. It's just a little piece of or a smaller canvas. It's not the kind with the, you know, it's the dimension on the back. It's just a framed one, I guess. It's just a flat back one that I got from Walmart. So I just wanted to kind of see how this kind of works and plays with different mediums and stuff. So I think what we'll do is probably kind of mess with maybe the stamping first, and then, or I guess it doesn't matter. Oh, I got some water here too, just so I can kind of blend things out, and I have a little bit more in case I run out of that one. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of organize my table, and then I'll be back, and we'll just kind of jump in on playing with the Distress Oxides. See you in a little bit. So I decided that instead of just having music, I wanted to go ahead and kind of talk you through some of the next segments that I filmed. So I'm playing with some of my new Kaiser Craft stamps, and I will have a full list of all the stamps and inks and everything that I used in this video in the description box below. I was really excited to try out that kind of a, you can call it like a doily slash mandala possibly. I thought it was really, really pretty. Loving these stamps too that I got from Kaiser Craft. And I was so excited to play with them finally with my Distress Oxides. Yay! Sometimes getting new stamps off of the backing can be a little bit tedious. You just want to kind of make sure you're pulling them, you know, tightly but not too quickly so you don't rip them, because I've done that before. Alright, so I'm going to be using a couple of the different oxides, and this one is the purple. I can't think of the name of the off the top of my head, and that's the Cracked Pistachio. Wilted Violet, I think that's what it's called, Wilted Violet. And then that is the Worn Lipstick. I'm just kind of creating some layers of color with the oxides by using multiple ones on this one stamp. And you can kind of see how cool that really looks. I wanted to experiment and see if adding some water would kind of make them run a little bit, and it made them kind of like a softer, muted tone, which I thought was very, very pretty. Really pretty. Just a quick dry there. Let's see, which one do I have next? It looks like butterflies, I think. Sorry that I'm showing, I didn't realize I was out of frame so much when I was filming this, so I apologize for that. And just picking a few more of the different colors. I believe that is the butterfly. It looks like it. Sorry, ladies and gents. I'm trying to be better about making sure that I'm actually in frame. Nope, those are the leaves. So there are two different types on that stamp, and I thought those turned out so cool. I'm definitely going to be using these Distress Oxides in the colors that I chose here on some upcoming fall crafting projects. So again, just kind of wanted to play with it and see how much the colors would run, if at all, and you can see that it did really well there. Again, it kind of gives it that soft, kind of nice muted tone, I think. Alright, so I'm taking the Broken China. This is actually one of my favorite colors. I know, I'm a purple girl through and through, but I really, really love that Broken China. It's just a really beautiful color. I'm grabbing the Worn Lipstick, and that is, I think, like the tag stamp. This is a really cool stamp because you can really play with the different colors and kind of have a really kind of a custom looking tag you can use too. So I really love those two colors together. Very, very pretty. They remind me of almost like for like a baby nursery type of colors. They're just a really nice pastel-y type of color. Okay, so now I'm getting out one of my watercolor postcard sheets. This is, I don't remember the brand name off the top of my head, but again, I will have that in the description box below. And I will I bought those at Hobby Lobby. I was trying to remember where I got those. So kind of playing with some of the darker colors. That one is I think that's the Walnut Stain. No, I don't think that's it. Oh, I'm so sorry, ladies and gents. I can't remember. I'm not in my craft room, so I don't have my oxides right in front of me. But I just kind of want to play with a couple different darker colors and just kind of see. I think I was trying to make up like a, oh, I don't know, kind of like a, maybe an aged doily type of a look or something. So I thought that turned, look at how that color pops as soon as you added water to that. So pretty. This is such a cool shabby chic vintage type of a look you can create, just mixing the different darks and the lighter colors in the oxides. Really, really cool. And okay, so I'm doing that again. I'm trying to remember because I filmed this over about a week period, and I had some time in between, so I'm trying to remember what I was using in different stamps and such. Okay, just kind of. All right, so in this next one, I'm going to be playing around with some different tags, doing kind of some resist embossing technique. Now, I did actually wanted to make this part, where you could hear me talking, but again, the video was just so long. I am such a chatty Cathy. It's awful. So, and I'm showing you a couple of different stamps I'm going to be using. I think the first one was from Kaiser Craft, and the second one is Hampton Art. But again, I will be including a list of all the stamps and various materials that I used in this video in the description box below. So those are some little butterflies I stamped, and I went through with my water brush, and I just kind of added some purple bits in there, my favorite color. And then this one's really cool. This is a piece I worked on when I was Skyping with my girl Michelle Scott, and I was just kind of explaining to you the different stencil techniques, or the stencil patterns, excuse me, and kind of painting a little bit with my oxides on that. So you're going to see those little pieces here in some upcoming videos, because I'm going to be cutting them out, each little section, and using them on some upcoming projects. It's great for tags. You could use it for your art journaling, things of that nature, cards. So if you kind of want to play around with your different stencils and your oxides like I was doing, you can totally use what you were playing with on upcoming and future projects for sure. So us being crafters, we don't like to waste or product or things like that. So that's kind of a great way to kind of reuse something that I was doing some creative play with. Okay, so now let's see here. Okay, so I went ahead and pre-stamped those sentiments, and let's see here. I'm going to be getting out some tags. Now I need to backtrack real quick, because I did this video in about a week, I did them from the first part, and then like 2 days later to the next part, and then we had my daughter's best friend here from Oregon. She was here for 2 weeks, so there was about a 3-week time difference from when I first filmed this to when I'm actually editing. So I apologize if it sounds like I don't remember what I'm doing, because I did it. So love that stamp set from Kaiser Craft. That ink blotting splatter is so cool, and wait till you see how well this doily, half doily stamp looks on that and on the tag. And that tag I just bought from Office Max, I think it was, or Staples. It's the Avery brand, so nothing super special. It's just a big pack they had, and I just like to use it in my crafting, especially for trying out new techniques. Now I am using the Jet archival ink, because that ink does not run after you spray, after it's dried, and I wanted to play with the different Distress Oxide colors, kind of make them more like a watercolor type of a thing, meaning where I kind of smush it onto my pad, add some water, and I kind of go with my water brush, paintbrush, and I just add the little bits of color where I want it to go. Look how cool that is. I love that stamp, and I can't wait to use it again. So go ahead and get the stamp out of the way, put it back on the packaging. I am that person. I'm sorry. I'm kind of a clean as I go type of person. So especially when it comes to my stamps and stencils, I try to get the ink and different mediums off of those, just so I can make my supplies last a little bit longer. So I'm getting out a couple different blocks, just showing the different ones that I have. So if you only have one or something, there are tons available, different sizes and different brands and such. Okay, so for this one, I'm trying to Okay, so this one I've turned into a thank you, and I'm using that little floral type of spray. And I'm going to be doing a resist emboss technique on this one. Now, ironically enough, my very first YouTube video ever was me doing the resist emboss technique. It is so funny. And now I'm using some perfect medium, which I love. You can use like Top Boss, or all different kinds of brands of kind of like your embossing mediums, but I just happen to prefer the perfect medium brand. I do have the other ones as well, but I always find myself reaching to the perfect medium. I just love how juicy the pad is, and it really just kind of grabs the different embossing powders, and it's just really awesome. I love it. So I'm just stamping those, and then I'm going to be getting out my ultra thick clear embossing powders, and I'm going to be using that on the tag. So, and I had a phone call that came up here here in a few seconds, so it might seem kind of weird that I'm jumping from this to another part, but I was taking that phone call. That phone call was from my son, so I had to take it, of course. So here I'm just using that ultra thick embossing in the clear, and I've already stamped my sentiment in that little floral bit. Now I'm just using my, I think this is the Marmalade heat tool. I've had that thing for so long. Okay, so now I have to give some, see how cool that looks? I know it's going fast, I'm sorry about that, but I do show it up at the end of the video. Now I have to give out proper credit. My girl Michelle Scott, she is the one that introduced me into using like the cosmetic sponges from the Dollar Tree and using binder clips. Absolutely brilliant. I never ever would have thought to do that. So you're going to see me doing that, but I always give out credit where credit is due. So be sure you check out Michelle's channel. She's got a lot of really cool kind of budget bargain friendly tips. This is so cool about this resist emboss technique. You can see the stamped sentiment showing through. I just love how that looks. So once I'm done, once you're done with, whenever you do this, I just take a baby wipe and I just kind of quickly go over the embossed portion. That way I can kind of have that little bit more of a kind of a clear look. Now if you like it with it on there, you don't have to remove it, of course. Completely up to what you like to do. So I'm just explaining that part. That's why you see me pausing and my hands moving. And as I'm recording this, I'm still moving my hands like you guys can see me. I don't know why I do that. It's silly. So, and then there I'm just using more of the little cosmetic wedges, excuse me, and the binder clips. I kind of wanted to zoom in a little bit closer so you could see how the embossed portion just really pops through. Now I've done this with sprays and gelatos and all kinds of things, so it's not just ink. It's a really fun technique. Okay, I'm dipping in that purple. I just can't help myself, you guys. I'm such a purple girl. I always have to include it if I can. So just really cool. You can really blend those colors together, make certain shades a little bit darker. And whenever you get it wet too, it's going to have that really kind of a cool effect. And when it dries, it's almost like oxide, that oxidation, because that's what they're called. It's got a really cool look and texture to it. Almost feels like chalk, kind of. At least that's how it feels to me. So again, I'm just explaining to you what I've already have been seeing in this voiceover. And I'm just going to go ahead and make the edges around the tag a little bit darker by using some more of that green ink. And I peeled paint, good grief, I'm trying to remember what it's called. And this is that really cool half stamp of that doily from Kaiser Craft. So now what I'm doing, I'm just explaining what I use to put my different inks and stuff on. And that is just it's just parchment paper. That's what I use. So anyway, back to the project. I am going to be putting some different inks and stuff. Now, I don't like the plate idea. I don't know why I thought that would work. If I had a larger paper plate, it would have been perfect. But I have a stack of those left over from a previous party, so I used them in my craft room. And I'm realizing, wait a second, that's not going to work out. So I didn't want to edit that part out because I like to show when I maybe have a mistake or maybe something doesn't work or whatever. So just to kind of show you, when I make mistakes, because I certainly make my share for sure. Okay, so I'm just going to be kind of laying down some of those inks onto that parchment paper, and I just add some water to it just to kind of reconstitute a little bit, much like what you saw, or will see, excuse me, in some upcoming clips. Again, these are just those little water brush pens. Those happen to be Prima. I got them because, yes, they're purple, but I also have like a, I think it's Hobby Lobby brand or something like that. You can get them pretty much at any kind of art supply store. So what I'm doing now is I'm picking up some of the different pigment on there onto the brush pen, the nib, and I'm just kind of going around and I'm just coloring little bits of it. So at some people, they might not like doing that kind of detailed work, but to me it's like fussy cutting. I really enjoy doing it. So you can definitely take a paintbrush if you don't like using that more detailed brush. You can absolutely do that. So just kind of fun way to layer on some different colors and tones and the like on there. I just love that stamp. It's so cool. That'll be a really good stamp to do that resist emboss technique for sure. So I'm speaking of that, as I'm chatting with you, repeating the same thing as I'm doing the voiceover. I'm going to be doing an updated resist emboss technique, and I'm going to definitely be putting that stamp into that video when I do that. So you can just get as detailed as you want, and it's just a really cool kind of way to use something different than just your normal standard paintbrush. So, and there I'm just cleaning off the nib. Now this is one of those flat back canvas pieces. I think I got this at Walmart. It was like in a 2-pack. What I did here is I just stamped 2 different images, one in a sentiment, and there's a border on the bottom. And again, I need to apologize because I didn't realize I was off frame so much. So I am sorry about that. I'm trying to be better about that. So what I'm doing is just basically what you've already seen. I'm just painting with the Distress Oxide once I add water to it. And it really flows like it's a watercolor. Now I'm not claiming that it is a color because it's not. I'm just saying that it flows like whenever you use watercolors or dilute your kind of craft paints and stuff. So love the way that looks. Cool design for sure. Sorry about that. I had to clear my throat for a moment. And yeah, I'm just going to kind of finish this one up, and then I'm going to see in the next segment because I had to clip this again, like I said, because this was really long. So just kind of showing you different variations that you can use with the different oxide inks. Okay, so in this segment you're going to see me just continuing on that tag that I shared with you before I painted that little canvas piece. I just really want to kind of focus and kind of add more colors and stuff to it, so you kind of see, excuse me, a little bit more of a completed look. And I'm just picking up some more of the oxide ink onto the nib of that water brush, and just kind of going in with a little bit of detail. I really like mixing the some of like, what's that, fossilized amber, and kind of playing with that along with like the pink. That's what I have in there. That's the worn lipstick, and then kind of mixing it with the purple too, the Wilted violet. It's just kind of fun to mix those different tones together. Probably colors that I personally wouldn't mix together, just because but I like how that looks here. So I'm definitely going to be doing that in future crafts. Again, just picking up some more of that color. And what's so cool, just a little side note, there I zoomed in, Abby, good job. So you could actually see what I'm doing there. So that's the fired brick that I'm using there. So the really cool thing about those sheets that you see me working on, the different, oh my goodness, I just said what they were, parchment papers, good grief, Abby. Those are so cool because I use those until I kind of, get it so dirty or whatever that I want to move on to a new one. And I keep those and I use them in upcoming projects and stuff, in my art journaling and things like that. So this is a really cool stamp. If you wanted to get more detail than what I'm doing here, you could definitely alternate each little section and use different colors if you wanted to do that. That would be really cool to do too. So just kind of wanting to kind of have at least one semi-complete project. And there's just dipping the nib right in directly into the ink pad itself, which you can do. You just want to be careful that you clean off your the nib or the brush pretty well, so you don't mix, you know, another color into like a lighter color or something like that. So when you're working directly off the pad itself. Here I'm just stamping down onto the parchment paper with the peeled paint, just to kind of add a little bit of a green color to it. And again, I'm off camera. I'm so sorry about that. Alright, the next one I'm going to be working more on that canvas piece, so I will see you in the next segment. Okay, in this clip you're going to see me going back to that canvas piece, and I'm just adding some more color into the stamped image there. So basically doing what I kind of already showed you on the tag, but I really wanted to kind of show you how these oxides look and work on a canvas, and they work just great. I mean, you know, I have the Distress markers, the full set, and I do the same kind of thing with the markers as I'm doing with the oxide ink. So I was fairly certain it was going to work okay, but I just wanted to kind of test it and to kind of share with you as well what I was doing there. So again, there's that purple. I just can't help myself. Love, love, love purple. So again, you could, you know, get as detailed as you want, and you know, you use as many colors as you would like to use on something like that. So it's just creative play. That's all that is, which I love so much. And now in this clip, again, I'm bringing out that watercolor, and I'm using Fossilized Amber and Peeled Paint. This is, the watercolor is a set I got from Walmart, or excuse me, the watercolor paper. I keep saying watercolor. And, not Walmart, I'm sorry guys, I got it from Hobby Lobby. It's about 2 o'clock in the morning as I'm editing this video, so please forgive me. So I'm just getting, you know, I got the paper wet with some water like you're supposed to do with watercolor, and I kind of wanted to see how they were going to work, and they're moving just like the watercolor does when I'm using that, and I just loved how that looked. This is such a fun way to use your Distress Oxide inks, aside from just, you know, tag stamping, things like that. So I just kind of wanted to see how they would play when I put them on watercolor paper and adding, you know, lots and lots of water. So just kind of another fun little way and kind of testing, and I've created a background that I can use on an upcoming project. So just another fun way to use your oxide inks. Now in this clip, I'm using some of my Primus Finnabair stamps that I just got in the mail actually, and then some Ranger craft tags in the black. And I really wanted to see how well the colors would, how well you could see the colors on a black background like this. So, and I'm just grabbing out some different stamps I wanted to play with. And again, I will have the names and model information of all this, or excuse me, product information in the description box below. So Peeled Paint, Faded Jeans, and Wilted Violet is what I chose, and then Fossilized Amber. I just kind of wanted to play around with some different colors. So now when I don't use stamping blocks, what I can do is I like to hold them when I'm just, you know, using them for basically visual interest like this. And you saw me wiping it with that wipe is because I don't want any hard edges or corners. I want it to just be kind of, you know, just little sections of that stamp. So I'm just kind of doing that, and then I'm gonna, you know, grab a different ink and then a different type of stamp. I love the way that one looks on this paper too. I'm really excited to play with those stamps a little bit more. So cool. I mean, that is the Peeled Paint on there, and that just really, really pops. I mean, the faded blue jeans, you can really see it well, and I'm very, very pleased with how these oxide inks turned out onto this black background. Now I wanted to dry this real quick because I wanted to kind of layer a few other colors, and I don't really want to mix them on the stamp. I just kind of wanted to see how they would look when I layer them when the first layer is completely dry. So that's what I'm doing here. Now I'm going to grab my beloved purple, the Wilted Violet, and this one is the butterfly stamp, as you can see, and just kind of figure out where I want to stamp it and play with it there. So you can see it. Now I didn't press down on that butterfly stamp as fully as if it was on a block, so that's why the full image of the butterfly isn't shown, but that's fine to me because this is just, like I said, a sample kind of a tag here, and then I also like the look of a stamp when it's not fully, you know, depressed onto the paper or whatever, you know, medium that you're using. Again, just kind of drying that again, and yeah, just going to be playing with some different layers, and I'm really surprised. I'm really not surprised. Well, I kind of am, I guess. I did not think that the peel paint would pop off that black so much like it does, and I think that's really, really cool. Now I'm dipping into the Fossilized Amber. Look how bright that is. That is so cool how that looks. So don't be afraid to use dark mediums like papers and, you know, fabrics or things like that, you know, because you can use these type of oxides on them and they're going to pop off the page or whatever material that you happen to be using. So I think it's just a really, really cool way to kind of play around if you're, you know, if it's not normally in your wheelhouse, I guess, to use black paper. You know, I hope this encourages you to want to do that. Sorry for the weirdness of my voice. My facial pain is pretty high. That's why I'm still up at 2 o'clock in the morning. So having a little bit of trouble articulating. Now what I'm doing here is something I learned years ago from Donna Downey, and I'm just dipping my paintbrush into the oxide that I wet onto that mat there, and I'm just using the other paintbrushes to kind of splatter it and tap it on there. So Tim Holtz does have a splatter brush, which I do have, but I just use my paintbrush just in case somebody doesn't have his splatter brush. You can definitely just use a regular paintbrush, and then you could use anything on it, another paintbrush to tap it against, a pencil, anything like that. So, and then here I'm just adding more of the purple splatters from the Wilted Violet, and yeah, just kind of showing you how that looks. I love how that layer looks. I think it's just really, really cool. So now I'm just going around at the edges of the tag, as you can see, and kind of mimicking when I go around the edges of my projects and add extra ink. I just kind of wanted to see how it would, if it would pull properly, or how it would kind of, you know, look when it kind of dried on the edge of the tag. So again, just creative play. That's what this whole video is about, is breaking out the Distress Oxides and just having some fun. Now on this one, I'm going to be using these colors here, Fabric Peel Paint, and Fossilized Amber, and then we have Faded Blue Jeans, Worn Lipstick, and Wilted Violet. So now I got my craft mat out, and I'm just going to be doing the same thing that I've been doing, where I just kind of spread the inks, or, you know, kind of wiggle them. I saw Tim Holtz do this, so that is where I learned this particular technique. Again, I always give credit where credit is due, and that is where I saw that when I watched his initial video. Look at how cool that is. These tags are so fun. I just love doing this technique. I did it years ago when the Distress inks came out too, but it's just a really, really, really fun way to make some, you know, interesting kind of marbleized looking kind of papers and, you know, tags and whatever medium you're going to be using this on. So just a really fun way to create some different tags for upcoming projects or swaps and things like that. So now I'm trying it with the other trio, just to kind of get it. I wanted to play with these three because, you know, fall's coming up on us, and I wanted to see how they were going to look for like upcoming fall tags and things like that. And I think it's really, really pretty. Now I didn't drag it into the green as much as I thought I did, but you kind of get the idea. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this voiceover, and I will see you in the final clip, which I show another technique where I'm doing it in real time. So I'll see you. Okay, everybody, I hope you enjoyed those last couple process portions of the video. I like to kind of mix it up where I do process with a voiceover or music, and then these kind of real-time ones. It's just so I can kind of make videos that everybody's gonna like, or hopefully like. So what the last thing I'm gonna do is as far as like, you know, just testing, sampling these different oxide inks on different mediums, I wanted to kind of share with you how these are going to look on cardboard. Now you might be thinking, well, Abby, it's, you know, it's paper and it's ink, it's going to show up or whatever. But since these have more, well, the oxide, hence the name, I kind of wanted to see if they faded into a darker material like this or how they would look, because I like to use a lot of cardboard in my projects, tags, watercolor paper, and some of the other different mediums that I use in the previous clip. So what I'm going to be using, I pulled out 3 different stamps. This is my Rust and Dust, sorry for the glare, from Finnabar from Prima. It's off to the side. And I just grabbed out 3 I hadn't messed with yet, or played with I should say. So I have these 3 here. And then the inks I'm going to be using is Fired Brick, Peeled Paint, and vintage photo. So what I have here is just a piece of cardboard off some packaging. I just cut it out to rough, use them just a little bit here, just a rough, you know, square, whatever, something more manageable than a big box. And then what I have here, I think this is like a crochet or knitting something, but I bought these, one because yes, they're purple, and the other reason is because I use them for all different kind of crafting purposes other than their intended use, because I don't know how to knit or crochet. I wish I did, but I don't. So I've had these for a super long time. So what I'm going to do is just kind of poke, because you can kind of see it's got the ridges right there. Hopefully you can see that. Get my stamps out of the way for a second. And what I do is I just kind of poke in here until I kind of get something started. And then I just take this tool and I'm just doing this business with it. Just kind of poking up some of the edges. Now, if you don't have something like this, you can always come up to the top and kind of peel it. Sometimes what I've done for a little bit of help with that is if I just get the very corner just a little bit wet with my fingernail and kind of get in between those layers. So just a couple different ways that you can, well, there's probably more than just those ways I shared with you, but that's just kind of the 2 main ways I do that. And then I can just kind of come up in here and just have some creative play here, letting out some frustration, or I'm not frustrated, but you know, some people, they like to punch bags or whatever when they're stressed out. I used to do kickboxing, and since I have trigeminal neuralgia, I can't do that anymore, unfortunately. So, you know, sometimes you just like to be a little physical or kind of doing what you like or whatever, so to kind of help you get through any bad patches you might have. Oh grief, I'm trying to rip up the ridge. No wonder it wasn't coming off. So I kind of want to do some stamping on not only the solid surface. I'm going to leave some of this solid in that, but I want to kind of see how the stamps will show up on the corrugated part of the cardboard. So don't worry, I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me do this for too super long. Just want to kind of get a little bit of an idea of how it looks. Let me just get in this last one here. I keep trying to pull up the corrugated part, but I'm kind of trying to hurry. Oopsie, I just went all the way through. Oh boy. I'm just not really trying to hurry too fast, but I don't want to make this video too super long, so I'm not being as careful or meticulous as I am normally. And if you watch any of my videos, you would know how I'm kind of like that. So let's get one more spot up here torn a little bit, and then we will just go ahead and see what we can get. So I want to make sure I have a pretty good area for it to kind of go over and on the corrugated piece as well as the solid part. So let me just kind of get this torn off this last little bit. Come at it this way. There we go. Want this last little bit there. Okay, good. Finally. We're finally done watching Abby peel back cardboard in a rushed manner. So what I'm going to do is just randomly grab these 3 stamps. I'm not going to use a stamp block, especially when I'm working on a surface that's uneven like this. I think for me, it's better to just kind of have the stamp in your hand, ink it, and then you can kind of press in a little bit more than you would with an acrylic block, because you're not going to be able to push down and get the stamp indentation into the grooves, if that makes any sense. So, all right, let's just start with the clock. Let's do vintage photo for that one. Just gonna ink my stamp here, just making sure I'm getting all the parts. Now, I'm not expecting to have a complete image because I'm going to be stamping on corrugated, uneven surface. I just kind of want to see how it's going to look against an ink. And I kind of chose some darker colors because I'm assuming the brighter ones will show up really well. So let me zoom in a little bit here so you can see what I'm doing. So let's do the clock kind of on half corrugated and kind of more of the solid part. So let's see. We'll kind of do this with it. Just give it a good press. And if you're just using this for basically background texture, visual interest, you can certainly go back and re-stamp again and kind of go over that, because we're not looking for a perfect stamped image like for a card or tag or something where you want the image to be really crisp, if that's the look you're going for, of course. So just kind of do that. And there we go. You have to press as long as I did. I don't know, I was doing it so long. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, of course it's not the solid, but look at that. This is really cool how you can see part of it on the corrugated part, or a little strip here, and then you have just some different hints of that, like the arms aren't even all the way there, but that's what I like for that kind of vintage, rusty kind of steampunky look. So this looks very Tim Holtzy to me, if that makes any sense. So I'll go ahead and just give this a quick wipe off here. And I have, I will be doing a video coming up here pretty soon because I'm trying to add some more to my little collection, but I kind of want to share with you what I do with my baby wipes once I use them to pick up color and stuff, because I don't want to waste them. All right, so now we did the clock. Let's do this really cool, you know, wood bit. Maybe it's an address of some sort. I don't know. We'll just kind of play with it. So let's do the peeled paint for this one. So I'm just going to go ahead and ink my stamp again. Just kind of making sure I'm getting all of the edges. Okay, let's do this one on, let's see, this is going to be this size. We could do that one here. Let's do this one up there so we have the better size here. And we're just going to do it again. Just curious to see what the green inks will look like, the peeled paint. Now I'm not going to press as long on this one, just to kind of give you an idea of what it's going to look like if you don't want to press that long. So you can see it there, and you can see some of the numbers. You can see some of the wood grain right there. Really, really cool. And it's just little hints of it on the corrugated portion. So really cool. So if you don't have the capability of pushing with your fingers for whatever reason, you know, you can just give it a quick press, that which is what I did there. So, and I'm just going to go ahead and kind of reuse this a little bit, because I will definitely use this piece of cardboard for another project. And I know you cannot see you know, a lot of the actual imagery, but you're getting down some of the texture of the stamp. So, and that's all that I'm really looking for. Just kind of give these a quick wipe. Yes, I am one of those clean as you go kind of crafters. Sometimes, if I'm really like totally in my mojo, then I don't want to stop to clean. So, all right, now we're going to use the fired brick, and we're going to use this really cool kind of washery looking, I don't know what it is, but it looks kind of cool. So let's go ahead and get that one down here. Kind of give it a good coat. Okay. Again, you probably don't have to use that much. I just sometimes overdo it. So let's go ahead and come over here, kind of push that piece down, and we'll do this whole bit on this corrugated portion, and then I'll ink it again if there's not enough ink left, and I'll kind of do it on this solid piece over here. So let's just kind of get this one kind of more onto the corrugated than we have the other stamps. We'll see how this looks. Okay. Very cool. Very, very cool. Look at that. That's awesome. This would be so fun to do a riff off of this and make it kind of a, well, actually I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to save it for my Craftmas project. So I'll have to write that down so I don't forget. But pretty cool, yeah? Look at that. You can really see the color. So let's go ahead and come over to this more solid piece, and we'll just kind of press down and see how much we have left. So yeah, so you can totally do this and not have to waste your ink at all. You can just kind of randomly come back and stamp. So that I think is going to be the end of my different testing methods or what have you. Now, of course, there are a ton of crafters who've already had the oxides as soon as they were released. I did not. So I know that there are already a ton of different videos and stuff on YouTube for this, but I kind of really wanted to add kind of my spin or my take, or just me in general, just kind of testing the different Distress Oxides. I'm going to go a little bit more so we can kind of get everything in. So I hope that if you do not have the Distress Oxides, or you're looking into getting them, if you had any questions or anything, hopefully some of my little sampling and testing, etc., maybe helped answer some questions, I hope. And if not, of course, if you just go into your YouTube search and just type in Distress Oxide, you're going to come across a ton of really, really informational videos. Two, I think I mentioned in my intro, that actually there's three. Obviously Tim Holtz, the man himself, doing his at the Creatation, formerly CHA, and then Jennifer McGuire, and the third lady, I'll link it below because I have it saved on my video, so I'll go make sure I put the input that, because I like to give credit whenever I see maybe a technique or an idea or a way to kind of use a product or whatever, and the three of those combined definitely influenced me on, you know, the different kind of ways I wanted to you kind of test these oxides out, is what I'm trying to say. So let me go ahead and grab different things that I used in this process portion. And then I'll grab these and show you. Let's see. Okay, because I have a few things I want to share with you specifically that I did off camera because I was crafting and chatting with my girl Michelle Scott. So let me just make sure I get those stuck over here, and then we'll kind of move on. So here are the different watercolor postcards that you saw me use, and of course they're curling up because they're watercolor, so I didn't like tape them down or anything, but my score tape will do just that for me whenever I get ready to use these. So this is just kind of a really mellow, kind of a with the fossilized amber and the peeled paint, just kind of going into a little kind of ombre in the middle there. And this one is the Wilted Violet, Broken China, and the Worn Lipstick. So just kind of playing a little bit here. So these would be great to use as backgrounds for future projects. I can even run these through my Vagabond and cut out shapes if I want to. Just the possibilities are just endless with this type of thing. So I want to test it on watercolor. And then these are just your standard Avery shipping tags. Now I didn't have any more of the more mixed media tags, but I didn't want to wait to get some in because I want to get this video kind of up and out there in case anybody is undecided if they want to get these or not. So these are just your Avery, you know, shipping labels I got at like Office Depot or something. So these are the different ones that I shared with you, the different inks. Again, this is the Fired Brick, peeled paint, and I can't remember the next one, but I showed you in the process. And then here is the last three. Of course, this was my favorite. It was very difficult for me not to use Wilted Violet on every single project. I'll probably use more than anybody else would probably use because I'm such a purple girl. So I got these two. Again, these are great to do some different embellishment on. I can do like some of the Resist Emboss, which I'll show you that tag here in a moment. You know, just so many possibilities with having tags already kind of pre-ready for you. So if you don't have a lot of time, you need to make a quick tag for somebody or whatever, you can just kind of dig in your stash and pull one out and do what you need to do. Just add the different layers, you know, laces, trims, buttons, things of that nature. And this is one of the larger, just in case you couldn't see because of the glare, these are the 10 size, number 10 size black craft tags from Ranger. And these are just in the black, of course. And I just said that twice. Why? I don't know. So this one really looks a little bit almost 80s to me, kind of because of the way the brighter colors are in the black. But I think it turned out really cute. I love all of the different, just the visual interest you have on there with the different stamps and different designs. And then just a little bit of the splattering. And then I was just kind of playing around with how the ink would pool on the edges. So this was more of like a testing sample for me more than trying to create a specific tag for a a project or whatever. So I just kind of wanted to play around with how it would dry when it pulled up like that and kind of layered with some different colors and stuff like that. So I think that's pretty cool. I like that one. And then the cardboard, of course, which we just did. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of go through some of the projects and different things I was messing around with when I was Skype crafting with Michelle. So let's start with these. These you probably saw me. I can't remember if I have the camera on still or not, but this is the extra paint, or excuse me, oxide ink that was on my craft mat when I was working on this tag. So I just have these. These are just, oh, I love them. They're so pretty. So these were great to use, as I've already mentioned, various craft projects. So I kind of wanted to, I didn't want to waste the ink, so to speak, on that. And the same thing with this one here. These kind of muddled together, and I kind of lost the, gosh, was it, I think it was pill paint. I can't remember the color I used. I'll have to look back. It looks like it's almost ice spruce, but I know it, anyway, let's move on. Yeah, I showed it earlier. So these are the different ones left, a couple little pieces of paper left over from that one. And I wanted to kind of play with doing some resist embossing. And matter of fact, my very first YouTube video I ever did over 5.5 years ago was a resist emboss technique for a design team I was on. But I'm going to do an updated one because I don't know, I feel like I was a little, I don't know, maybe I still sound rambling, I don't know. Anyway, I just kind of want to do an updated version. So this one says thank you, and it's got that really pretty kind of spray down here. And then this one has you know, just a little floral bit, and then it kind of has this little bit of extra texture up there. So I think these are really cool. So again, I just wanted to play with how the oxides were going to look on tags that have the resist emboss on there. So I think those are very pretty. And then I wanted to kind of play with you know, pretending like these are the colored markers for the adult coloring books and things. This is a really, really pretty stamp from Kaiser Craft, and I just kind of play with a couple different colors. And I use my smaller paintbrush that I have here. And I was trying to show in the process, this is just one of those water brushes. You can get them anywhere. I got this one online because it's purple. I'm so weak. So I just kind of wanted to show that you could use these for really fine detail, inking or coloring, whatever you wanted to do. I think that tag's pretty cool looking. This one, I was going to finish this on camera with you, but I decided to use the cardboard instead. But again, this is just a really detailed stamp. I started messing with it using the Wilted Violet, of course, because I'm a purple girl. So I can go back in there and finish that, and I can cut these out, fussy cut them, and use them for, you know, tags, cards, whatever. And this is just a piece of canvas, because I do like to craft and create a lot on canvas. This is just a couple different stamps. I think they're Kaiser Craft. And this is the one that I had. Oh no, I didn't finish that piece. It's part of this one. But again, I just kind of used some different colors. I don't typically craft with this color palette itself, but I kind of wanted to see what all the different colors, how they would look on a canvas texture when I've already used a black, you know, stamp for the outline. And then up here, again, just did some, I know, another stamp. I kind of had the Wilted Violet, and I kind of made it like a little bit whitewashed to make it kind of like more fluid, like a little more lilac-y-ish. So I just kind of want to play on that and kind of see how it's going to look on a piece of canvas. And then last but not least, this is just kind of a testing page, as all of these are actually. I used a couple different of my TCW stencils, which is the Crafter's Workshop, and then this section here, this is all one stamp from, stencil from Tim Holtz. So this one's probably, I have a couple favorites. So this one's really cool. This is the Fossilized Amber and the Ice Spruce together. Just kind of a really cool look. I like that, and I'll be able to cut all these apart and use them on different projects. This one is just the, was that the peeled paint? Yeah, this was peeled paint, and it's just the solid color. I just kind of came really heavy here, and I kind of wanted to give it a lighter of a wash up there, just to kind of see how this would ombre with the texture of the texture paste. And then this one here, kind of the same colors. This is the Wilted Violet, this is the Broken China, and I kind of melded them together in the middle. Same thing with this one here. So Michelle told me she really liked this setup here, which I think I like too a lot, because it's got my purple. I didn't finish this one, but this is just kind of playing around with the two same color, or excuse me, the Worn Lipstick and the Wilted Violet. And then over here, I don't like these colors together really, personally for me, but I kind of want to play with different colors because I can't keep using just the Wilted Violet on everything, even though I really want to. And then this one is Vintage Photo down here with a little bit of Walnut Stain, and then again some more of the Fossilized Amber. So just kind of want to, you know, have some different testing these on different mediums and different things that I have, and mostly kind of the techniques and types of papers and textures and things that I typically craft with, you know, for various projects and whatnot. So I hope that this video was helpful to you in some way. I am going to be using these in some actual projects. So when I do project shares, I will be sure to kind of show you how I'm using these in, you know, different types of books, fabric, and things like that. I forgot to do one on fabric, but that's okay. We'll do that next time. So like I said, I will have all the videos linked below that I watched first for these different, you know, just getting basic information, because I'm like, what is that Distress Oxide? How is that going to be different than the normal Distress inks that I already have? So of course, Tim the man himself has the best video, because, you know, he made these. So it's kind of cool to kind of, you know, kind of have somebody who is very educated and knowledgeable, and that's what I look for. So very proficient with these, I am not. Trust me, this is my first time to kind of play with these. So just kind of want to show you Abby's take, or Abby's spin on this kind of inks. And if you have any questions, as always, please just leave them in the comment section below. Also comment and let me know if you've picked up these Distress Oxides yourself, because I would love to go to your channel or your blog or both and check out your work. And of course, I want to support other crafters here on social media. So I will see you all next time. Happy scrapping, happy planning, and happy crafting. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye!